Welcome to T2T Network, and this is New York Giants Corner. Man, I love that intro. I am so undeserving of that intro. I'm enthralled with it every single time I watch it. Absolutely love it. Everybody, welcome to the show. I want to apologize for last week not being able to make it. Work has been very, very crazy for me. So, as a matter of fact, last week, I think it was last Tuesday, I had to go. I live in New Jersey. I had to go to Annapolis, Maryland, and back all on the same day. I think I was back at like 2 a.m. Wednesday morning. I fell asleep at 4 a.m. So I was just too exhausted to do it last Wednesday night, and then was just too busy to make up the episode anytime last week. So I want to apologize. There's definitely so much preseason news for our beloved New York Giants that I was not able to cover, not able to give my opinions on. But that's what this episode is going to be about. So we're going to be talking about today, just preseason so far. We've got the final preseason game coming up in a few days, and against the Jets. And after that, it's let's go 2023. And let's see what beholds what's in store for our beloved New York Giants. But before we get into the content, let me get the bells and whistles out of the way. If you can, please hit that like and subscribe button. Give us that 5-star Apple review. Everything like that helps us out a lot to grow our popularity. Where you can find the shows: Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Podbean, and Spotify. We are everywhere. You can't get away from us, baby. Also, our beautiful, wonderful website, toiletsandtitles.com, has all of our videos, articles. Everything we produce winds up going on the website. We cover fantasy football. That's our original. That's our original forte is fantasy football. We cover NFL football, obviously, college football. We cover college football, especially our sister network, the CFB Nation. The CFB Nation. They do pretty much all the college football programming here at T2T Network. Once those players graduate and they start getting into the draft, toilets to titles takes over. So, and again, our draft content. We just kicked ass. I want to pat myself and of course actually the others who did all the real draft work. My compadres here, 12 titles. This past draft, they did a fantastic job. You got to watch this during draft season. We've got like 150 draft profiles coming out, like we just did this past season. We'll be doing the same for the 2024 draft. We had 150 draft profiles. We had boots on the ground at Senior Bowl, the Combine, and the draft. We were actually, if you watched our coverage of the draft, day one and day two, we were actually calling out most of the draft picks about 30 seconds before they were announced on stage because we had some boots on the ground and we had some insiders over there. So we were getting that information and announcing it like 30 seconds before it was actually announced on stage. So really, really cool. So you want to check us out during draft season. You want to check us out the entire year if you love football. T2T Network. So, but hats off to the crew that handled the draft this year. They were absolutely fantastic, and you really want to follow us, I should say. And again, as I mentioned, the CFB Nation. The CFB Nation is our sister network. It stands for the College Football Nation, and I want to stress that they are the CFB Nation because there's another program out there called CFB Nation that is not us. So you want to follow the CFB Nation, and again, they cover college football, and they do an absolutely fantastic job. Patreon.com/toilets and titles. If you go there, you can learn how you can further support the show. And I want to say thank you to our current Patreon supporters. We appreciate you appreciating us. And Gilded, the Gilded app. We have our own Toilets to Titles, or T2T, chat in the Gilded app. We're up to 200 subscribers in the Gilded chat right now. So it's really cool. We're having a lot of fun. We're in the process of wrapping up our Frankenstank fantasy football league. We have our own fantasy football league called Frankenstank. Trust me when I say that it's different compared to any other fantasy football league out there. I'll just say, I will say it's a vampire league, but it's a lot more than just that. So trust me when I say it's different from any other fantasy football league you've ever experienced. It's wonderful. But we're just in the process of wrapping up that draft right now, and our Gilded chat is blowing up. We have a lot of fun. So, but it's not just about our fantasy football league either. In the Gilded, if you want to reach out to me or reach out to Toilets to Titles, we'll get you in the Gilded chat if you want. We have a lot of fun. If you ever have any fantasy football start sit questions, you can you can hop in the chat and you'll get many informed responses. And speaking of start sit, uh, the starting this Sunday right before the beginning of the season, we're launching our new start sit program called Title Time, and it's going to start. I think it's going from like 11 a.m. until almost game time. So I think it's going on from like 11 a.m. to almost 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that'll be starting the first Sunday. I believe the first Sunday of it might even be this upcoming Sunday, but it'll be the first Sunday before the season starts. Again, the program is called Title Time. That is our new Start Sit program Sunday mornings, and it's going to be absolutely wonderful. Any questions you have, you can just submit them through the chat, and every single question will be answered by at least three, maybe four really informed fantasy football experts here at T2T. All right, guys, let's get into Giants content. And let's start off with Jalen Hyatt, because what I'm focused on two things this episode. That is the youth that is being served this preseason, serving us very well so far this preseason. The real standouts, mostly rookies I'm talking about here. This preseason so far, the optimism that we should have from these guys. I also want to pump the brakes a little bit because there is a big difference between preseason and the regular season. But we should be optimistic because these guys have been balling out this entire preseason so far, or most of the preseason, and they've been getting better and better and better as the preseason goes on, and it's starting to show out in the preseason games. So you can't ask for more than that right now. You really can't. So I'm focusing on that, and I'm going to give you my 53 man roster prediction of the second half of the show. But let's start off with Jalen Hyatt. Okay, so our third round pick this year, Jalen Hyatt, looking better and better every single preseason day. Every single preseason game, he's showing up and doing really, really well. And Jalen Hyatt, when we drafted him, a lot of expectations. And, but if you know anything about Jalen Hyatt too, he's known mostly for speed, and I'm not trying to be detrimental to him at all. I was super psyched when we got him in the third round. I was very happy when we traded up in the third round to get him because that guy easily could have went in the second round. I didn't see him as a first round pick, even though his name was in mock drafts, a lot of big draft boards did have him worthy of being a first round pick, as some more as like a second round pick who needed some developing, but who had a lot of potential. He was an absolute steal in the third round. I had no problem trading up within the third round to get him. But Jalen Hyatt, man, his speed is something else, and it's a difference maker. He still has to work. His route running seems to be coming along fairly well. It is coming along well, and he's getting better in that aspect. But again, he's a rookie. He's a young player, but his speed alone is making a difference out there on the field. You can see it. You can see it in practice against a good Giants defense, and you can see it, in the preseason games. And the play he just, the play, the touchdown pass, that he had in in the game against the Panthers just a few days ago, wasn't a contested catch or anything, but it was awesome because of the separation that he was able to get. Jalen Hyatt, just with his speed alone, blew right by the safety. He is a glider. He is a smooth runner, and I think it's almost like you watch him on the field. It's almost deceptive in how quick he is because he's such a smooth runner. And but Jalen Hyatt blew by the safety, got that I think it was like a 35-yard touchdown pass from Tyrod Taylor as Taylor was getting hit as he was getting lit up. But he had plenty of separation. He was wide open in the end zone, but he made it wide open, Jalen Hyatt. So yeah, it was somewhat blown coverage by the safety, I guess, but I don't know if it was really blown coverage or just he just Jalen Hyatt just blew by the dude, you know. So, but that's okay too because listen, having Darren Waller in there to open things up it's going to open things up for everyone, including a young Jalen Hyatt who still has a ways to go in terms of his development. But Jalen Hyatt's speed right now is serving him really well, and it's going to service us really well. You're probably looking at starting wide receivers being Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton, and in the slot will probably be Paris Campbell or Sterling Shepard. And you're going to see, but I think as the season goes on, they're not going to be afraid to use Jalen Hyatt. Don't get me wrong, but I think you'll see more and more and more of Jalen Hyatt as the season goes on. There'll be a build up there, and but he seems to be doing his part in terms of learning more route running, which was definitely a valid question mark about him coming in. And like I said, most players have their weaknesses coming in anyway, and that's a weakness of his. So Jalen Hyatt right now is doing what he needs to do. He's doing great, tracking those long ball passes, and he's looking really, really, really good. So on the offensive side of the ball, really happy about Jalen Hyatt. This rookie class, man. Let's move on to the defensive side of the ball because the defensive side of the ball right now, we are probably going into this season with two starting corners in the secondary who are rookies. Excuse me, two rookies who are going to be starting this season in the secondary, which is incredible. And one of them is like a sixth round pick. So that's Trey Hawkins. So let's talk about the defensive side of the ball, the youth on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to focus on the safety because that's where most of the youth is. We're looking at a young secondary of Banks, Deontay Banks, Trey Hawkins, and Jason Pinnock. And Pinnock is not a rookie. He's been around for a few years, but he's a young player. I think he's only 25 years old. And the Giants picked him off the Jets practice squad last year, I believe. Yeah, I think it was last year they picked him up, and he flashed. I mean, he wasn't really starting. I think he got some more play time in once McKinney went down for like 6 weeks with his broken hand. Um, but he did. He flashed quite a bit, and I think that made the Giants front office feel comfortable enough to let Julian Love walk, who he eventually signed with the Seahawks, which I'm upset about because I would have loved to have Love here again. He's a leader, a really solid safety, and I'd love to have Pinnock as depth. But I am excited about Pinnock in the safety position. He's been playing really, really well. So I will start off with Pinnock, I guess, first because he's like the old man of this group anyway right now. He's like what? He's been around for like 3 years. He's 25 years old, so he's the crusty old veteran at this time right now. But Pinnock has been playing as the safety opposite of Xavier McKinney. Has performed really well this preseason so far, and I knew all reports were that the Giants front office, Giants coaching staff was really high on Pinnock and his athleticism. And his athleticism has shined in this preseason. So he's been doing a great job. Really excited about him. Knock on wood, everyone's been healthy. Thank God. Let's get out of this Jets game without any major injuries. And but Pinnock has been a little injured. I know this. I think he got banged up in the Jets game, but it's my understanding it's nothing serious. So right now we're looking at a starting safety tandem of McKinney and Pinnock. And Pinnock has been doing. He's been more than holding his own. So I'm really really excited about that. Hard hitter, decisive playmaker. When a play is coming up, he's diagnosing it pretty quickly and getting to be where he needs to be. So I'm really excited about Pinnock. Now let's talk about the two cornerbacks, rookies, who looks like they're going to be our starting cornerback tandem on the outside, which is shocking. Which is shocking. I am excited. I am excited because these guys are talented. Deontay Banks, man, he definitely started off really, really slow in the preseason, and I wasn't really worried about it. Now, listen, he's a first round pick, yeah, but even first round picks are, a lot of times they're going to suffer their first year, especially at the cornerback position, and especially in the preseason games. Um, but Deontay Banks has been coming along absolutely fine. He's been getting better and better every single week. Both preseason games, Banks has played really, really well, and I believe, no, I know for a fact, PFF. I forgot the score. I think it was like 34.4 or something like that. But PFF gave him a grade of something like 34.4 or whatever it was. It was the lowest grade uh, for um, for any rookie cornerback in terms of pass protection, meaning that his was the best. His was the best. I think it was. I think Banks has let up no passes allowed so far this preseason. I don't expect that to continue. It is preseason, so I'm sure when they face Dallas week one, it's gonna be a much tougher challenge. But Banks so far, you can't ask for more. He's been fantastic. We do see his weaknesses that were apparent if you studied him. His college tape. Big thing is holding his own at the line of scrimmage. Like he is a physical corner, but he does have a problem in terms of playing press man. He does have a problem like once the player and once the receiver gets off the line of scrimmage, a lot of times Banks is kind of trailing behind. Now he's got the speed and athleticism to make up for that, but in regular games, I'm just saying, watch out. He still has a lot of development to go. Banks is eventually, I think, going to get torched in quite a few of these situations, especially against really good, outstanding wide receivers, which he hasn't really gone against so far in this preseason. Including the two preseason games. I'm a little worried about Banks just because he's a rookie, and I'm very high on Banks. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a little worried about relying on him as a starter on the outside with another rookie opposite of him in Trey Hawkins, who we'll get to in a second. I am a little worried. Banks does have a little ways to go still. He's got a ways to go in developing his game, but again, he's a rookie. I can only say it so often, but so I am a little worried, but you can't ask for more again because Banks he's gotten better and better every single game, every single week in preseason so far. He's played very well in preseason, in the two preseason games. And so he's one of our outside corners who's going to be starting. The other one is Trey Hawkins, sixth round pick out of Old Dominion. And you want to talk about the surprise of camp, him and another guy I'm going to get to in a second. But sixth round pick Trey Hawkins out of Old Dominion has been, I guess, let's say, lights out since day one of camp. I think it was probably like 1 week after camp started, where he started moving up the ranks, playing on the third teams, excelling there, then playing on the second team defense, excelling there. And then it was by the second or third week of camp where he was starting. He was with the number ones. And Trey Hawkins has done nothing to move himself down the board at all. Trey Hawkins has been fantastic. I thought maybe they'd wind up using him as a slot safety because I know, unfortunately, the slot safety position has been, Cordell Flott, who I was very, very high. I was very high on coming into this preseason based on how he flashed last year and his limited amount of snaps that he played. I was very high on Cordell Flott, second-year player, third-round pick last year. But he hasn't played well in the slot. He hasn't played well really at all, Cordell Flott, which I'm really surprised about and disappointed because I expected a lot more from him at this point. I'm still high on Flott. I still like Flott's long-term projection. Just some of these guys just take longer than others. But Trey Hawkins has been fantastic. And right now, if everything goes according to plan, if he continues to, ball out as a starter, as the other starting outside boundary, the outside cornerback opposite of Deontay Banks, we've possibly hit a home run with this draft class. When you've got two starting corners, rookies, one first round pick, one sixth round pick. If Trey Hawkins can actually live up to that billing, that's incredible. So we'll see, but it's scary too because Adoree Jackson. It looks like Adoree Jackson's going to be starting in the slot. He's taking over the slot position, which is not crazy considering that a lot of times teams now put their best wide receivers in the slot position, or at least they get moved around a lot. And a lot of times they are moved to the slot. Say like a CeeDee Lamb or an AJ Brown. These guys get bounced around a lot. So it's not surprising. It's not surprising that Adoree Jackson is moving to the slot, considering that many of the best players, many of the best wide receivers are playing out of the slot. So, but it's scary but exciting that we're going to have a first round corner and a sixth round corner starting on the outside in Banks and Hawkins. So, but both have gotten, Hawks has been a Hawks. Hawkins has basically been lights out, clamped down since day one. Uh, and Banks didn't start off that way, but he's gotten better and better and better. So I'm very excited. I'm also scared at the same time. They're both rookies, and again, as excited, as impressive as they've been, and as they've gotten throughout the preseason as it's gone along. Just a reminder to my beloved Giants fans out there. These guys are young, they're rookies, and you're going to see probably struggles, especially with this schedule that we have this season, starting off with Dallas and CeeDee Lamb and some other very, very productive wide receivers, top end wide receivers on Dallas in week one. It's going to be scary, and these guys are going to have their moments too. So, but I'm sure Wink, he plans on, bringing pressure. You've got a healthy defensive line with, Dexter Lawrence, who was a monster last year. You got Leonard Williams, who played something like 95% of snaps last year, and the dude was playing injured pretty much the whole year. I know the second half of the year, he was playing with a neck burner the entire time. And I think he had an arm issue, some arm issue as well, for most of the year, even before the neck burner. So he's healthy. Dexter is been healthy and has been a monster in camp as well in preseason. And you've got Kayvon Thibodeau coming back for his second year. Aziz Ojolari, healthy. Aziz, please stay healthy. We need you. He's healthy. He's back for his third year. We got linebacker help in Bobby Okereke. Uh, so the pressure these guys should be able to bring should help alleviate the difficulties our rookie cornerbacks are going to experience this year. And another guy who's going to help, alleviate that pressure for the young cornerbacks is seventh round pick defensive tackle Jordan Riley out of Oregon. This was a guy I never even heard of this guy before. I was nothing against him. There's only so many players that you can look at. I was not familiar with Jordan Riley at all out of Oregon, and they took him in the seventh round. Big dude, not surprised at all. He's really big. He's like 6'5", 330 pounds, something like that. Um, I saw his measurables, and I'm like, cool, something to work with. Maybe this guy can be a run stuffer, and that's what he was known as. He was known as a run stuffer in college, but Oregon's pretty talented. Jordan Riley had been at like four schools, so he was. Talk about using the transfer, the transfer portal. That transfer portal was running hot for Jordan Riley. I think he was like at two community colleges, and then maybe like Auburn or Illinois or something like that, and then he wound up at Oregon was his final stop. So, I thought maybe this guy's got a chance to actually make the team as just like some third stringer or something like that. Jordan Riley's been playing really, really well. It's been one of the stars of this preseason for the Giants so far. He had a great play. He had a great play this past game against the Panthers, where it was a 4th and 1. Panthers went for it. He tossed the center out of the way, wrapped up, just totally engulfed the running back, whoever it was, brought him down for a loss. It was, play over, drive over, Giants take over the ball. And I think he was going against like the third or second stringers, but you know what? I think this dude he's obviously making the team. Seventh round pick. I'm really excited what he brings, the depth that he brings to this team, to this line, because it was very thin last year. I mean, last year Dexter Lawrence and an injured Leonard Williams had to be out there like 92 to 95% of snaps because there was no depth. But this year they've addressed that. They signed Ashawn Robinson and Nacho, and now they got a possible gem in the seventh round in Jordan Riley. So I'm really, really excited about this dude. You know what? The way he's been looking, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up, not necessarily this year, if he winds up being some sort of starter on the defensive line for the Giants, depending upon what formations they want to put out there, what personnel packages they want to put out there. But Jordan Riley's been playing really, really well. Been great in the run game. Has been pushing the pocket in the interior, and that's listen. Your the interior of your defensive line. They have to at least be able to be run stoppers at a minimum. They have to be run stoppers at least. Um, Even better, and it's important, but that they push the pocket. But it's the most important thing is be able to stop the run. Okay, seal the gaps, play them well, seal up the run. That's the important thing. Number two, and what will make you a starter in the league is if as a defensive tackle if you could push the center and the guards back, and help blow up the plays behind the line of scrimmage, put pressure on the quarterback from the interior of the line. And Jordan Riley's been doing that. I'm not saying he hasn't been Dexter Lawrence and he hasn't been Leonard Williams, and I don't think he ever will be. He's not going to be that type of penetrator. But he is so far. He's been a guy who has not just been great at stopping the run, which is the key thing on the interior, but he's also been pushing the pocket backwards. He has been doing that. So he hasn't been crashing through the line, but he's been pushing it backwards. He is a big, strong dude. And everything coming out of camp, we've seen his performance in the preseason games, but all the reports coming out for the past few weeks is how high the coaching staff is on Jordan Riley and on the performance of Jordan Riley. So again, a seventh round pick, a rookie. You got to look at this. You've got Banks for other first round, so you have expectations for him. You've got Hawkins, sixth round pick, going to be starting as a boundary corner. That's crazy. And they got Jordan Riley. He's not going to be starting, but this guy is probably going to be, they could actually probably afford now to give Dexter and Leonard, some additional snaps off to keep these guys healthy and fresh throughout the game and the season because of the performance of Jordan Riley. So let's see it in the NFL games, but man, I've got no reason to believe, I feel really good about Jordan Riley. The cornerbacks are different. That's different. Like I am really happy with their performance so far. I am more worried about them because they are outside corners. They are going to be playing on an island many times. And this is going to be a really tough season, a really talented wide receivers they're going to be going against. So, but dude, I'm really happy. I love that this is a youthful team, that it's a talented team that for the first time in a long time, it looks like we have players in a draft class that were, who are taken in the mid to late rounds who can actually provide something, whether it's as starters or valuable backups. And we haven't seen that with the Giants draft class in a very long time. Okay, guys, so that's it right now. And man, we'll see what happens in game 3 against the Jets. I don't think the Giants are going to start too many of the starters, honestly, in the final game against the Jets. I think each of the starters will be out there for like a drive, maybe on the defensive side of the ball, maybe they'll be out there for a quarter. You know what? I mean, maybe the starting offense will be out there for a quarter. I don't think they're going to be out there for a half. I really don't. I think this team is, I think the coaching staff, understandably so, is more concerned about getting out of the preseason with no major injuries. I think that's the major thing for them, and I don't blame them at all. So, I would say that don't expect to see the starting offense for more than one quarter, the first quarter that is, and the starting defense maybe a little more than that. I don't think you'll see. I don't think you're going to see the starting defense for an entire half. I think you know what. I think you'll see the starting defense on the field for no more than one quarter as well. So all the starters, offense and defense, no more than one quarter at maximum. Maximum. You might only see them out there for a drive, to be honest with you. Maybe some of the young guys like Banks and Hawkins, to get them more in-game practice. Maybe you'll see them out there longer, maybe for an entire half is possible. But for the most part, most of the starters on both sides of the ball, these guys are going to be out no later than the first quarter. All right, guys. Now, time for my predictions on the 53-man roster. So, 53, I think the cut down from like 90 players to 53 happens this upcoming Tuesday after the final preseason game. Here are my predictions, and I'll give some caveats too. Um, this is kind of like my prediction. I guess it's probably a mix of what I think the Giants are going to do and what I want them to do. I'm trying to do this to keep it clean where, just what I think the Giants are going to do, but I just wasn't able to do that. I'm kind of like trying to will this into existence. So the way I want to see things fall for the 53-man roster. Let's start off with the numbers. So there's going to be 3 special team players, 23 in offense and 27 on defense. So 3 on specials, 23 on offense, 27 on defense. We'll get the specials out of the way. No surprise. Long snapper Casey Kreider, punter Jamie Gillian, and kicker Graham Gano, the seemingly ageless Graham Gano. We love you, Graham. Casey Kreider, long snapper. He's probably going to be the long snapper for like the next 10 years. I'll tell you, being a long snapper, I got to tell my son, practice on long snapping because if you can get a job in the NFL as a long snapper, you are secure. and it's not too much you really got to do, and you can have a really long career making good money as a long snapper in the NFL. So, um, okay, let's get on to the meat and potatoes over here. Offense and defense. We're starting up with offense. Giants are going to keep two quarterbacks, Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor. Our rookie quarterback, Tommy DeVito, undrafted free agent, has played really, really well this preseason. And he's a gamer. I like DeVito. He's a gamer. He's been effective passing the ball. Doesn't go down on first contact. Seems pretty fearless in the pocket. And maybe for another season, or maybe if this were next year, when Tyrod Taylor's contract is over, uh, Tommy DeVito probably would be the backup quarterback to Daniel Jones, but he's an undrafted free agent. Um, I assume he's going to go to the practice squad. Hopefully, he stays there. Nobody claims him. Nobody probably will. They probably won't claim Tommy DeVito. But I really like what I saw from DeVito. I really do. And the guy rocks the Italianness. I love it. He's from Jersey. He's Italian, obviously DeVito. He rocks the Italian horn. I love it. Absolutely love it. I haven't seen that in a long time. He used to have an Italian horn when I was a kid. Not knocking it, not making fun of it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I just haven't seen it in a while. I see it on DeVito. It makes me want to break my old one out because I still have it from when I wore it when I was like in my teens and my early 20s. So I have all my jewelry. I never get rid of my jewelry. But DeVito played really, really well. Love the way he looked. I think he's got some promise as a real NFL backup quarterback down the road. I really do. But we're gonna roll to the season with two quarterbacks on the roster, and that's Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor, obviously. Okay, running backs. Saquon Barkley, Matt Breida, Eric Gray, who's a rookie, and Brightwell. I've got four running backs, and this is my prediction. This is a tough one though, because Jay Corbin, second year on the Giants, has probably been the best running back uh, in camp so far for the Giants. Saquon's hasn't really played in any preseason games. He hasn't played all that much in preseason too either. So I don't really, I haven't heard his name too often. So they're just keeping him under bubble wrap, I believe, which is totally fine by me. Um, Matt Breida, I don't think Matt Breida is going to be the running backs. I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a surprise on who makes it, who doesn't. It may very well be in the running back group. Matt Breida, I'm pretty sure he's safe. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he's safe. He's not going to be cut. And you're looking at Eric Gray, Gary Brightwell, who was injured recently, but Gary Brightwell is like the starting, I think, kick returner and the backup punt returner, or it's reversed. But he is like a starting returner and a backup returner as well. So I don't think he's going to be cut. Um, even though he's a little banged up. Jay Corbin, I really want to see Jay Corbin make this team. But listen, Eric Gray has not been too impressive this preseason really at all, to be honest with you. And I was never that high on him coming out of the draft. They took him in the fifth round. I thought it was totally cool. I thought Eric Gray was fine to take in the fifth round. Don't get me wrong. I don't remember what other running backs are out there. I wouldn't be surprised at all if there was some other running backs I wanted ahead of Eric Gray. I was never all that big on the dude, to be honest with you, but he hasn't looked good. He's looked kind of pedestrian. But then again, a lot of times when he's playing, it's behind the second string and third string offensive line, which has been brutal for the Giants. So got to be fair to Eric Gray in that regard as well. They have had him doing a lot of punt return duties over the past week or two, including the last preseason game. So, but I can't believe they're going to cut Eric Gray. So Saquon Barkley and Matt Breida, Eric Gray, and I assume they're going to stick with Brightwell. Like I said, he has some experience as a punt returner, kick returner. Like these guys haven't been great though. Like I mean, Brightwell hasn't been great in that regard. So it could be Jay Corbin over Brightwell. I got to assume it's Barkley, Breda, Gray who are going to make it, and the final battle is probably between Brightwell and Corbin. If there's going to be a surprise, this is one of the position groups where one of those surprises may be. Okay, wide receiver. Okay, Hyatt, Hodgins, Slayton, Campbell, those are penciled in. Shepard he's healthy, he's looking good. I assume he's going to make the team, and also Beasley, who's looked really really good for the Giants. I think he's going to make the team. Um, I have them, and there's Wandale Robinson who's out there. I hope they keep him on pup. You see 7 names here right now. Um, I have the number 6 there, indicating that the Giants are going to roll into the season with 6 wide receivers. I assume Robinson is going to be activated at some point. I'm hoping they don't do it before the season starts. I hope they keep him on pup for like 4 more weeks. I think that's if they keep him on pup, I think it's got to be for like 4 more weeks. I think they should do that. I don't want to see him out there right now. The guy, no, listen, he's coming off a torn ACL, suffered it like in the middle of last season. I think it's too early for this dude to be out there and expecting something for him. It takes really 2 full years normally, unless you're, it's rare, but it's very, very rare. But the vast majority of the time, it takes 2 full seasons for a player to come back from an ACL and be themselves, be the player that they were pre-injury. I don't want Robinson Rush, and we actually have the depth now where we don't need to do that. So let's not do that. So assuming Robinson's going to start the season on the pup, I'm rolling with Hyatt, Hodgins, Slayton, Campbell, Shepard, and Beasley, which means that Colin Johnson's probably not going to make the team. And man, I hope he can make it to the practice squad. I think he'll probably be swallowed up by another team. I really love the dude. He's like 6'5", 6'6". He's got that big frame like Darren Waller. You know, he kind of offers what Kenny Galladay was supposed to offer us. A really big body out there, and he's ginormous. I would love to see Colin Johnson make this team. I guess I just don't see it happening. I don't think they'll cut Shepard. And Shepard's played really. He's played fine. He's played really well. Looks like he's back from the injury. And Beasley's played very well for the Giants too. So I can't see them taking Colin Johnson over Shepard or Beasley. But I would love to see him on the team somehow. I really would, or at least until Wan'Dale Robinson comes back, because he is a really big body. And Colin Johnson, 2 years in a row now, has played very, very well in the preseasons. Okay, let's move on to tight end: Waller, Bellinger, Lawrence, Cager. I'm with the guys at Talking Giants, where they want the third tight end to be a blocking tight end, and I'm with it. I'm with them, and that means either Chris Myrick or Tommy Sweeney. Tommy Sweeney just had a medical scare yesterday, as a matter of fact, where I think he collapsed on the sideline, had to be like carted off. Everything was fine. Apparently, everything wound up being fine, but I don't know what the issue was. But that's scary with Tommy Sweeney. But unfortunately, I'm with the guys at Talking Giants. I think they're going to go with Cager. Cager is kind of like a Waller light, but he's not Waller. If Waller is down, if Waller goes down, I'd rather have a second blocking tight end out there, like Bellinger. Bellinger is a threat both ways. He's a really good blocker, and he's not Waller, but he's a very reliable. He's a very, very reliable outlet for Daniel Jones. Bellinger's got great hands. He's a savvy route runner, just in terms of finding the open spaces in the defense. He's physical. He can take a hit from a safety in a corner and still hold on to the ball. He's a smart, savvy player. I love this dude. Lawrence Cager is, like they were pointing out on Talking Giants. He's like a Waller light, but at this point, if Waller goes down, I'd rather have like a more of a blocking specialist, and that's like a Tommy Sweeney and a Chris Myrick. And I like both of them. I especially like Chris Myrick. He's done some good things for the Giants over the past few seasons. But I'd rather have Myrick, but I'm going to go for this. I'm going to go with what I think the Giants are going to do, and that's Waller, Bellinger, and Lawrence Cager. But again, I would go with Myrick or Tommy Sweeney over Lawrence Cager. Nothing against you, Lawrence, if you're watching the show. Okay, offensive line. I've got them keeping 8. I think some other content creators have them keeping 9. I wouldn't be surprised about that too, because the depth on this, the backups on this are pretty scary. They're not performing well at all. Not surprised. That's been the bane of the Giants' existence for a long time. Offensive line play. Starters at guard have been a little scary, but I think that's going to shake out fine. They've had this guard rotation of Bredesen, Izudu, and Gleniski, and it's going to wind up being, to start the season at least, it's going to wind up being Bredesen, I think, at left guard, and Gleniski at right guard. And Izudu, yes, you are going to see him getting snaps this year. You probably will still see that rotation, because I think the plan is that they don't feel like Izudu's ready yet to start, but they want to get him starting eventually at some point this season. And that means that he needs in-game snaps. And that's why you're probably going to continue to see That's why you're probably going to continue to see a guard rotation. I think going into the season, during the season, I think you're going to continue to see a guard rotation of Bredesen, Izudu, and Gleniski. But right now, it looks like these are the guys who they're going to keep and who I think they're going to keep, and that is Andrew Thomas, obviously, Bredesen, JMS starting at center, Gleniski, Neal, and then Izudu, McKeithen, and Pert as the backup. You could wind up getting. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep another swing tackle instead of Pert because he hasn't played well and he's like in his third year, maybe his fourth year. He hasn't played well. But the thing is that none of the swing tackles have played well. I wouldn't be shocked at all if another swing tackle makes it over Pert. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do wind up keeping 9 offensive linemen. Just for depth purposes. I wouldn't be surprised. But Marcus McKeithen, who they took in the 6th round last year, I know they're very enamored with. He suffered an injury last year that kept him out for most of the year. I forgot what it was. I think it might have been a torn ACL. It might have been. And there were like 3 or 4 torn ACLs last year. It was ridiculous. Anyway, I got to wrap this up because I've got to start work at 9 o'clock. I have a Zoom. But I know the Giants, this dude, McKeithen, is huge. He is ginormous. I forgot weight, height, everything, but the dude is really, really big. And I don't think they want to give up on that. So I think McKeithen makes the team as well. So right now, I'm predicting 8, but I wouldn't be shocked by 9. Okay, let's move on to the defense. Nose tackle / defensive tackle. I have them keeping 6 guys: Dex Leo, Nacho, Ashawn Robinson, Jordan Riley, and Ryder Anderson, who I think is going to make it. Someone else may make it over Ryder Anderson, but I think they're really, really high on him. So those are the 6 I think they're going to keep. Edge / outside linebacker: Kayvon Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari, Jihad Ward, Tamon Fox, and Zimenez, who I'm not crazy about. I really don't want to see Zimenez anymore. It's nothing against you, Zimenez, if you're watching, which you probably are. I like you. I think you're a swell guy, but I mean, there's no one who really stands out. But man, this next year, we really need to improve the depth at our edge position. I'll say that. I do like Tamon Fox. He's played really, 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 really well this preseason. Nothing against him. I think long term, Tamon Fox can be a quality backup. Second, third string or whatever. But there's a lot worse than Tamon Fox, and I do like him. I don't think he's ever going to be a starter. Like if Ojulari were to go down with an injury again, you don't want to see Tamon Fox out there as a starter. But I do think he's developed into being a really solid backup. I really do. So those are the 5 outside linebackers / edges I think they're keeping. 5 linebackers as well: Okereke, McFadden, Beavers, Coughlin, and Brown. I'm very happy we have Okereke. I think McFadden and Beavers, have a lot of potential. Coughlin and Brown, they're really more like special teams guys, and they're like third string linebackers, but they're really more like special teams performers. They're both pretty good in that regard. But we can definitely use more depth next year at linebacker, more quality starters at linebacker. But Okereke, McFadden, Beavers, they give me a lot of hope. Okereke, I'm very happy about. The guy's been all over the place. He's been as advertised as one of our top free agent signings this past season, this past summer. McFadden looking good. Beavers is coming along from his injury. McFadden probably has the job as the. It's funny. I actually looked at the roster yesterday, the depth chart, the unofficial depth chart on the Giants.com yesterday, and they actually had Beavers ahead of McFadden. I was surprised by that. I actually think it's Okereke, McFadden, and then Beavers. But either way, McFadden's been playing pretty well. He's had a pretty good preseason so far. And then Beavers, I've got high hopes for. He did have a major injury last year. I think that was a torn ACL as well. So it's going to take him time. But I know the Giants front office has been high on him. I think they want to keep him and give him time to develop. And also, there really isn't anyone else sticking out who should take his job anyway. To be honest with you. Okay, cornerback. Jackson, Banks, rookie, Hawkins, rookie, Flott, Holmes, and then Aaron Robinson on the pup. So I've got keeping 5 cornerbacks right now and then Aaron Robinson, the 6th one on the pup. So it's Jackson, Banks, Hawkins, Flott, Holmes, Aaron Robinson on the pup. I don't think Aaron Robinson's going to be cut. He's I don't know how long he's going to stay on the pup, but he could be a cut. I really don't want them to cut the dude. I still think he's got a chance to be their starting slot, and they could always move Adoree back outside if they need to. Aaron Robinson really did have a lot of talent. He hasn't played over the past 2 years because of injuries. He's probably going to be a casualty in the cuts. He probably will be, but I'm holding out hope for Aaron Robinson. Okay, guys, safety position: McKinney, Pinnock, Belton, McLeod, McCain, and Owens. So six safeties. Wink loves his safeties. Some of those safeties, anyway, are kind of like they moonlight as linebackers anyway. Like Bobby McCain, I believe. It's either McCain or McLeod. One of them moonlights as a linebacker anyway. So I think they'll roll with six safeties, and I think the safety group is looking pretty good. I like the youth we have over there, especially with Pinnock and Belton, and of course McKinney. He's young as well. But the guys that still really have to prove themselves, like Pinnock and Belton. So, and also Javarius Owens, seventh round pick this year as well. The dude he plays the part of a safety. This guy diagnoses quickly and he hits hard. Javarius Owens. Seventh round pick, safety. I've enjoyed watching him the preseason games. This guy diagnoses pretty quickly. He comes downhill pretty quickly, and this dude hits hard. So I really, really enjoyed it. Guys, it's 8:57. I got to roll. I actually have to hop on a work Zoom in like 3 minutes. So here are the Twitter handles for me and all my compadres. If you can please give us a follow, I greatly appreciate it. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell, give us that 5-star Apple review. Why? Because we deserve it. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Have a great week. Let's enjoy the final preseason game, and I'll speak with you next week. Take care, everybody.